Welcome to the UFO Woman Show. I'm Melisa Kennedy, and I am so glad that you are joining us here on this Friday. It is 9/11, which is a sad day in our country's history, but hopefully we're going to bring some light into this otherwise gloomy day and at least pass on an hour's worth of positive and fun information to you guys. So with that said, I'm just going to lead in by saying 2020. Yeah, it's been quite a year, hasn't it? We started out in January and even into February in the UFO community with, I would say, a shed of light where some disclosure that was being kind of drip fed to us through the Pentagon and through the military. And so, 2020 kind of started out not too shabby. It looked promising. It looked great. Well, then March happened, and the whole pandemic started worldwide. And it's just been this really slow downhill turn since then, it seems like. And lots of topics of conversation have now kind of become taboo, or at least censored, or I don't know, kind of ones that you want to stay away from, which is kind of ironic because I feel like the only topic that we can maybe talk about to our friends and family and maybe people that follow us on social media is UFOs. It almost seems like now that's the topic that we could talk about that isn't so, fear and fight provoking. You dare mention anything about the election, or you dare mention anything about the pandemic, or you dare mention anything about face masks, or you dare mention anything about any of these other topics right now. It seems like it just starts World War III. But the one thing that's kind of funny that we can seem to talk about is UFOs. I don't really see that provoking too many fights these days, which is a little funny. So that leaves me to say that there's probably two topics in 2020 left that we could talk about without getting into a fight. And that is UFOs and the weather. That's still not bad. That's still not taboo yet. So with that said, I want to bring up this funny little comic strip real quick about the weather. The weather, yes, it's been mostly crappy today, and tonight will be even crappier. There's a 90% chance tomorrow it'll be crappy, and the long-range forecast is crappy, real crappy, and total crap. Yep, that pretty much sums it up, guys. That's 2020. And that just seems like that's one of the few things we can talk about these days that isn't going to offend all of our friends and family from unfollowing us on Facebook. And the other thing I wanted to share, which is, again, kind of funny, being that it is an election year, being that it is the crazy year of 2020, and that is this cute little cartoon with these aliens. It says, "Occupy Earth. Abduction is a right. Down with gravity. Chewbacca for president. Free Area 51 and gray pride." I'm sorry. I just find that funny, and I hope you do too. We haven't completely lost our sense of humor yet, although that's probably about to happen soon. Now, there's a lot of, I'd say believers in numerology. I kind of happen to be one of them. I'm a little superstitious about certain numbers, and there's certain numbers that I tend to like a little more than others. And some numbers are said to be related to universal consciousness. 1111. I love that number. I will always love that number. It just seems like it provokes so many good vibes. It's a good one. Now, funny thing is, and this is a little inside information I'm going to share with you about myself. The numbers 9/11, I don't know why, but 9/11 has repeatedly shown itself to me for the past 5 years. Now, is it because 9/11 was my original due date for my daughter, the 9/11/2001? Thankfully, she came 2 weeks early, so it didn't have to be that birthday for her, which is a good thing. Is it because 9/11 is my stepfather, who unfortunately did pass a couple of years ago? Today would have been his birthday. Is it because the 9/11 horrific event that happened? Or is it something else? I don't really know. But 9/11, for whatever reason, has shown itself to me numerous times in the last 5 years. Furthering that, I will say that there's some other numbers that I like. I love 3, and I love 13. Yes, I know, 13 gets a bad rap. 13 used to be kind of the bad number, the feared number. The other feared number is 666. Yeah, that's a bad one. But you know what, guys? I know what number that trumps them all. 2020. I'm just saying, 2020 is like the most feared number, I think, to date. So with that said, I would like to get in a little time machine and go back into time to say, I'd say the 1950s. I wasn't around then, wasn't even thought of then. But to me, from what I have seen in the 1950s, it looks like a pretty darn good decade. And I'm kind of in favor of being transported back to that time, at least for a little bit of time in 2020. So I'm going to bring up a trailer of a movie from the 1950s. So let's go ahead and roll that tape, please.
Imagine yourself as one of the crew of this faster-than-light spaceship of the future, sharing their curiosity to know the unknown, their tension, their readiness for inconceivable adventures.
Sir, we're being radar scanned. United Planets Cruiser C-57D, J.J. Adams commanding. Who are you?
Morbius of the Bellerophon.
Dr. Morbius, my orders are to survey the situation on Altair 4.
Commander, if you sat down on this planet, I warn you that I cannot be answerable for the safety of your ship or your crew.
When you reach the Forbidden Planet, you will meet Dr. Morbius, played by Walter Pidgeon. The doctor is sole owner of this fabulous world. Anne Francis is his alluring daughter, Alta, who has never seen a young man till she meets Commander Adams, played by talented Leslie Nielsen.
Come on in.
Didn't bring my bathing suit.
What's a bathing suit?
Oh, murder.
You will meet a charming character in The Robot, able to produce, on order, 10 tons of lead or a slinky evening gown. Always at your service.
It must be the loveliest, softest thing you've ever made for me. And fit in all the right places, with lots and lots of star sapphires.
Star sapphires take a week to crystallize properly. Would diamond or emeralds do?
You explore all the wonders of a vanished civilization. You travel deep down into the heart of the Forbidden Planet to discover the incredible marvels of this lost genius race. These magnificent scenes in striking Eastman color stagger the imagination.
20 miles. Look down, gentlemen. Are you afraid? 7,800 levels.
Yet the wonders of the planet Altair 4 conceal a strange and evil force, unknown, irresistible.
Doesn't that just evoke some innocence back into our lives? I love looking back to a time like the 1950s and when things were almost in a surreal environment, almost with some naive aspects as to what the future was going to look like. And you got to love the UFOs in that movie and some of the technology that they had back there. I don't know. To me, it just... It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I need to go back to that time and escape the 2020 drama and look at something like that movie to kind of, I don't know, make us stop and take a moment and look back at a time that was really sweet and kind of innocent. It's heartwarming. I wasn't around back then. I wasn't even born then. I wasn't even thought of then. But I do want to get in a time machine and travel back to that point in time. So I'm going to open up to my two guys here, Edgar and Kevin. Have you all seen that show? Have you watched that movie, Edgar?
I watched that movie several times. In fact, I did find it on DVD, and I pop it into my DVD player and still watch it.
Really?
It was interesting because that was the first time that they actually had a working robot in a movie set, if you go back and check the archives on that particular movie. The other thing, too, was there was an experiment done about the id. That's what was melting the door. And it was the fear of the brain connecting to the computer, and the entire civilization of that particular planet wiped its own self out because of the being tied to the computer and the id, which is the fears of what works in our own minds.
Oh my gosh. So id, did it stand for something?
It is exactly what ID stands for.
Like an AI?
It's the inner dimensional of our own self-thinking.
Oh, wow.
Our going straight into our subconscious and subconscious mind as to what we create as reality or monsters or whatever. And that's what that movie depicted. I will not tell you the ending of the movie because
no spoiler alerts.
I would like you to find a copy of this and watch it. And there's a reason. Because they're pushing this AI. We have underground cities. We don't know what all has been built underground. So with this 5G, 4G, now they're wanting to implant chips into our minds to connect us to computers. It becomes even more imperative to understand that what was science fiction is becoming science fact. Most of our movies, science fiction in particular, is based on real physics and things that were thought of as being a possibility. Now those possibilities are factual and real. Jules Verne is considered to be the father of science fiction, but he's also the father of modern day, because Jules Verne was a writer in the 1800s, and he wrote 2 books, and they were 3 years apart. The name of the books was To the Moon and Round the Moon. He also wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. All these things came into reality.
Mm-hmm. I remember that ride at Disney. Just saying. That takes me back to the 70s. But Yeah, I mean, being that we're, in Florida, I had to bring up Disney just there for a second. Well, Edgar, you've got a really cool point, because what you're saying is, which kind of goes along with what we've been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks, is we can manifest things into reality through our collective consciousness, which I just want to say, if that's true, I want this little guy. I want him to become real. I'm just saying. I love this little baby Yoda. Wouldn't that be awesome? I'd like about 10 of these guys. They're so cute. Anyway, had to throw a little bit of humor into that. But, I mean, if that's the case, and we know it is the case because, now he's not even going to stand. He's just going to be real pain. All right, there he goes. He's kind of leaning to the left, but that's okay. You know what? We lean to the left, we lean to the right, whatever, right? At this point in time, anything goes. But, okay, so if I were to dream or think of, I don't know, a monster, let's say a scary monster, do we all think that could possibly become reality? Could it manifest itself, Kevin?
That's a great question.
I mean, because I've had some scary dreams.
Keep them simple for me, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I dream about Dracula and everything else, so who knows?
I would have to digest that, really, and think, well, I know that we manifest our reality.
Right.
And I've got my own examples of manifesting my own reality. I've even asked, I think I gave the example of manifesting my lost wallet. And it manifested for me in my vehicle. And so I know that's a reality, and I've used that throughout my life. Even the house that I live in now, I had an image of a house that I wanted to live in with this white picket fence on the veranda. And I live in that house now.
You have a white picket fence?
Well, it's on the veranda. There's a white
cute.
fence on the veranda. But I imagined that.
Yeah.
And I actually saw a house that looked like that one day over here. And I said to myself, I want to live in a house like that. And I do now.
Well,
I had the thought first.
here's a question. Is it wrong that I want to live in the Addams Family house? I don't know. Since I was a little kid, I've always been like, man, that would be so cool to live in the Addams Family mansion.
I used to watch that when I was a kid.
Right?
It was so funny. It was so funny. It was really good. Yeah.
It was funny and it was cool. And I mean, well, you know what?
So to answer your question, can we manifest something that you imagine to be like a living being or something?
Yeah.
Or a monster?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just raising the question. I wonder if it's possible.
We do that in our dreams, do we not?
Yeah, we do.
Nightmares. We'll see a monster.
Right.
And so yeah.
What if all of this is just an illusion?
Thinking about it.
Yeah.
We probably can.
Now, have you got?
I don't want to.
Well, I mean, do we want to? I don't know. That's like a whole nother Pandora box that we're opening. I mean, I don't know. I had this thought the other day, and this is going to sound really weird, I know, but I got to say it. I had the thought the other day that 2020 was a manifestation of somebody's warped sense of reality. I really did have that thought the other day. I was like, you know what? I think 2020 is somebody's just really screwed up mind that said, you know what? Let's just turn this world upside down. It's like, you ever watch Stranger Things on Netflix?
Occasionally, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, I know, Edgar, you've seen it. So, I mean, I love that show, okay? I'm like a little bit obsessed with it. First of all, it's about the 80s, which is when I grew up. I mean, I could relate to it. I feel like I'm in that upside down world. I really do. I every single day, I'm like, is this real? Because I don't feel like I belong here. I feel like I've just been plucked, dropped. Boop. Here's Melisa in 2020. Don't know what's going on. Don't know why I'm here. Don't know what's happening. But do you guys kind of feel like that, sort of?
I would agree to some respect. I think 2020 has been a terrible year for everybody.
Yeah, I know.
Society's been turned upside down. Everybody you speak to is unhappy, angry, anxious. And, but is that what's needed to change? People are now
that's a good
thinking
point.
about
That's a good
creating a new reality. And we've spoken about this before. Sure. Creating a new reality with the ETs.
Right. And so okay, well, I like where you're going with this, Kevin. Let's keep this going, because kind of what you're saying is we need to stir things up, we need to shake things up, in order for that new reality to manifest. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying exactly, yes. And I find now there's lots of different groups, large groups, are getting together and using the knowledge of shared consciousness to create this new reality already.
So if the three of us right now really join forces, because I think we're already connected telepathically, because I don't know how many times the three of us have said things on this show, and then you two with your little shirts, I just can't even with these shirts. I don't know. They don't plan it, you guys. I'm telling you, they really don't. It's just funny. And I just wear black every single time. Why? Because I'm like Wednesday on Addams Family. I don't know. I like black. That's just me. But anyway, yeah, I'm like, I'm really starting to feel like 2020 is some warped sense of reality.
Now we want to create that new reality is because we don't like this one.
No, I don't like this one. Nope.
Nobody likes all
I want out. I want to go back to the 50s.
Pandemic. You know, nobody can travel. Everybody's frustrated.
Yeah.
So we need now to act.
I
We
know.
need to co-create using consciousness. And we know we can do that. And manifest that new reality.
Yes.
And as we move forward, we'll manifest it with the ETs because they are here. We all know
I keep trying to talk to them.
The people that watch your show know that they're
I know. Yeah.
You know, so, and
Right.
tens of thousands of people now know that the ETs are here.
Right.
So we really just need to create it through
We need to like spark it. We need to almost like a bomb to go off with it, right?
It'll be there.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree with you. I really do agree with you. I just wonder. I say the 1950s. No, I wasn't even around. But like you two were. I mean, you were little, but you two were around. Am I right when I say like the 1950s was kind of like this innocent
It was
decade?
a transition.
Transition?
It was a transition. We had the opportunity to have in a 100% peaceful world, and the cabal could not have it because they could not have their perpetual war. There was 2 books written. One was called
I'm going to sip my tea while he spreads the news about the 50s.
one was called the Endless War, and it was science fiction. And it was an interesting read. And Heinlein wrote one that was on a similar note. And in those storylines is exactly where we're at today. With all the technology and stuff going against us. Our, how can I put it? Our reality now is that it's tangled up with AI, with the cell phones, with the computer age, with our automobiles being almost completely autonomous. Which is a good thing in one way and a bad thing in another way, because in order to be autonomous, they're having to put these cell towers real close together, and everybody's living in a radioactive world now. It's like putting the whole globe into a microwave oven. Radar is radar. When you start talking higher frequency, and everybody in America has a microwave oven. You pop a cup of water into that microwave oven, you push the button, and 15, 30 seconds later, maybe 2 minutes at the most, and you've got boiling hot water coming out of that microwave. Same thing is happening. They say the skin effect, oh, these radio waves and stuff can't hurt you. In reality, they can penetrate you, and the ones that are suffering the most are the unborn babies and the young developing babies. So the intergalactics knew how to shield themselves and everything around them as far as radiation. However, the human race is not shielding themselves from this and or protecting the environment around us. That is going to be our detriment. That was what the Forbidden Planet was basically getting across to everybody that had watched the movie. It was groundbreaking. in a number of ways when it came out in 1957. However, we are now at a crossroad. Do we want to put these chips or expand our intellectual minds without understanding how to control? And that's how the race of beings on the Forbidden Planet destroyed themselves from the id. They didn't realize it until it was too late, when all of them got destroyed by their own id. And that's what was breaking through that door in that trailer in the Forbidden Planet. That was the id that was being generated by one of the crew members, even Dr. Morbius in this particular movie. That was the character's name, Dr. Morbius, was afraid of. And when Dr. Morbius would fall asleep, that id would start to come through, and he warned everybody about what the id could do. We have a similar thing that can happen to the human population. We can literally create the id and destroy ourselves and everything around us. Will the planet survive? Yes, the planet will still be here. But society, mankind, will not. We bring our collective consciousness together, we can change, we can even move mountains. But it has to be pure thought. It cannot be any kind of thought patterns that is of a negative or derogatory sense. That when we have pure, 100% loving thought, we can literally change all of reality. In order for the new to come in, the old must go away. And this has happened on this planet time and time again. The intergalactics have been here for aeons of time. According to Zecharia Sitchin, the human race didn't come into being until about 750,000 years ago. That's 750,000 years that genetic experiments and stuff have been going on this planet from the intergalactics. Zecharia Sitchin spent 33 years researching before he ever wrote the first book that he wrote, The 12th Planet. These are things that the intergalactics is trying to get across to us, trying to wake us up to give us the gift that we all have within, and not to squander it, but to use it for peaceful, loving purposes.
Yeah, I would agree with everything you said there, Edgar.
Yeah,
just amazing. You just put it all into context, I think. And it sort of clicked in my mind that with what you were saying, yes, we can create anything. We have that ability. And my ET guides have informed me we've reached this level of technology in the past and destroyed ourselves with nuclear weapons. And that's the only time they say they will step in, is if we use nuclear weapons again. They will step in without being invited. They currently want to be invited in and be received. But
nobody's inviting them.
Not at the moment, no. But
that's the sad part.
The invitation's out there.
Right.
And again, the thought is out there.
Yeah.
The thought manifests the future.
Right.
So if we think about manifesting the ETs landing, say, in New York at the United Nations and meeting
Wouldn't
with
that be
our
great?
ambassadors.
Well, we talked about that way back in
didn't we? Yes.
February.
Yes, we did.
Yes, we did.
We've been talking about this for the whole year of 2020.
So again, if we imagine that, create the thought,
right,
create the reality.
Yeah.
And then
that'd be nice.
And then when the ETs do come and we do interact with them, then they'll share their technologies with us.
I'd like for them to just show up on the set right now
and help us.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah,
just come on in right now. I would be good. Yeah, I mean that would be awesome.
If we started moving across the table.
Yeah, no, our ratings would go through the roof, right?
Yeah,
John would be happy here at William Beam TV. That'd be awesome.
You'll fall over in a minute backwards.
Just fall over. Oh my gosh! Yeah, that would be awesome. Well, I can honestly say I have actively asked for the ETs to be in my life.
Yeah, okay.
And I think they are. I really do. I think things happen too many times that of my doing. I've had too many people brought into my life. I've had too many projects and whatnot that have presented themselves, and I don't think it's really me. I think it's maybe my wishes manifesting itself to some degree, but I also think it's ETs, and I think it's the universe making some of those things happen. That's just my personal belief. Speaking of my personal belief, I'm going to touch on something that you were just saying, Edgar, and that was boiling water and the human race. I tend to think that all the violence and all the riots that we are seeing right now, which is so tragic, I really feel like some of this 5G and some of this other stuff that's going on, this fear-based media is fueling all of that. I almost feel like we as a human race is losing touch with reality. It's almost like we're I don't know, we're forgetting to be human, we're forgetting to be peaceful, we're forgetting to be respectful. I don't know. You guys see kind of where I'm going with that?
And again, I think we are creating this reality that we are.
Yeah.
We are, as a species, as a human species, we are creating. Nobody's doing it for us.
No.
We are creating it.
Right.
We are creating our reality, and we don't like it.
No, and I hope our viewers out there, I hope you're going to join in with us and help create a new reality. And please share this. I just want to plug it real quick. Please share this TV show with your friends, your family, on your social media channels. Like us, follow us, comment. As soon as we're off the air, I always check and see if there's comments, and I try to always reply back because we do want to engage with you, the audience. We do want to answer your questions. All three of us do. So if you have a particular question for one of us or all three of us, please, by all means, put it up there on our live screen. We will also be re-airing tonight. The show always airs 2 times on Fridays, so it'll also be on air tonight at 8:30, and then WeBeam TV will show it randomly throughout the week as well. But anyway, yeah, I mean, back to the whole boiling water thing. I mean, I think what we're doing is we're stirring up the molecules of our mind, and I really feel like I don't know. I just wish the ETs would step in and just say, you know what, we're done with all this. Y'all just need to get your act together because this isn't working out too well. And just be like, come on, guys.
You mentioned
earlier
about growing up in the 50s.
Yeah.
It was after the Second World War, which must have been horrific
True.
for the whole global population. Everybody was involved. And when the war finished in mid-40s there, after that was that period of peace and relaxation.
Kind of reprogramming, if you will.
Creating a new reality.
Right.
It was a reality of peace. It was a great time to grow up. There wasn't the conflict that was going on.
I'm kind of jealous
it was,
that I didn't grow up in that time.
It was a very exciting time.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any of the technologies.
But see, that's a good thing.
We
you guys
interacted
connected.
with one another, yes.
Yes. And that's why you and Edgar, that's why you guys are such good friends, because your communication skills are really good. I think starting with my generation and thereafter, I think we're starting to lose some of that human interaction, some of that human communication, if you will.
But does not the technology take that away?
Right, the technology's taken some of that away.
I came into the studio today, and you two and John are on your phones.
Yeah, we are guilty of being on our phones.
I
know.
We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it.
We really are. It's addicting. Well,
I'll be on my phone. My wife will say, "Are you listening to me, Kevin?"
I know.
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
It is terrible.
Put it down, I'll leave it.
We do. We need to make a conscious effort to put those things down and look at each other without masks on, without any coverings on, and be human. You know, I want to see your smile. I want to see your smile. I want to be happy, and I want to show that I'm happy. And you know, I just really hope our audience takes this to heart and just helps bring this humanity back to that next level.
In a different light, then.
Yeah.
Someone else is creating this reality.
Yeah, and who is that? That's what I want to know.
Question.
Yeah.
One individual, or is it a collective group of individuals?
It could be a collective group of
Who
individuals
have
that
an
have.
understanding of consciousness and
Yeah.
how to create fear in people
Oh.
to control them.
You're so right.
Yes.
That's a brilliant thought, Kevin. Yeah, it makes you think that.
It does,
we
because
have some work to
if
do,
we
my
can
friend.
create a society which we desire, which we did in the 50s,
Right.
So we can create the society we've got now, and
Yeah.
we don't like it.
Right.
So we need to start again. We'll create a new one now.
Yeah.
We'll get rid of the old one.
Get rid of the old one.
they
I want
did-
a white picket
like they did
fence.
after the Second World War.
Yeah.
And then have a period of tranquility, a period of peace,
That'd be
a
beautiful.
period of enjoyment where
Yeah.
your kids could play outside.
I just want to have. I want to have tea. I want to have afternoon tea. See, I think I was British in a former life. You know
Oh,
why?
okay, yeah.
I have got this weird thing that. Well, first of all, I love tea. As you know, I've always got tea on the set. But I love the British culture.
tea and scones.
Yes, I do. I had to be British in a
With
former
jam on.
life. I had to be because I am obsessed with it. I mean, I love the tea. I love your all's like cottages and your little rose gardens. That's the reality Melisa wants. I want a white picket fence. I want the roses. I want butterflies. I want birds singing.
I think we do.
I want to be Snow
we
White.
do. We do create that.
And you guys are my little dwarfs. Let's see. Who
And
could
Yoda.
Edgar be?
Don't forget Yoda.
And the little. Let's see. Edgar
Edgar
could be
Yoda.
which dwarf? Dopey?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you're Dopey. And Kevin, you're
I don't know why
Doc.
me.
No, you're Doc. When you put your glasses on, you're Doc. I could be Snow White. Oh gosh, we're silly. Well, anyway, I mean, but it's true though. You know, creating our own reality, the universal consciousness, our ET families. Please, ET phone home. Let this be home though. I need him to contact us because this is just getting crazy, and I have a feeling it's about to get crazier before it gets better. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong, but I have a feeling it's going to get a little bit crazier before it gets better.
What else do you think is going to be created in this reality to make it even worse?
Well, you know what I said a couple weeks ago?
What?
I still think there's going to be a fake alien invasion. I do. It's the only thing missing.
I've heard that 2 or 3 times now
I
from
know.
different areas. Are we creating that ourselves?
Oh, I
then?
hope not.
You know,
Oh, get it out of my mind.
We are thinking about it.
Yeah, I
I've
know.
seen posts on Facebook. Not that anything on Facebook is real these days, but,
Well, or
but people
censored,
are
yeah.
discussing it.
I know. I know. It's almost like we're going to make it happen. aren't we?
Yeah, yes. But then
Okay, let's all think that we're going to make $1 million right now.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Right?
I like
and
that
then I'll
one.
share it with everybody. That would be
Yes,
great.
That would be good, yes.
Or let's all have pretty little rose gardens. I don't know. Just saying. Well, I have to watch this movie, Edgar, that we played a trailer. It's called The Forbidden Planet. It's on DVD, you're claiming, right?
It's on
So-
DVD. I own the DVD.
yeah. So if you're out there and it looks like an interesting movie, I'm going to watch it.
I've watched it. It's excellent.
You have watched it?
I've watched it 7 times. Like
Can I
Edgar,
borrow
but-
your DVD?
Yes.
That way I don't have to buy it. I want to see it. I mean, you know, I grew up. I was talking to my mom the other day, and this is so funny. I was like, Mom, I have finally figured out what's wrong with me. And she's like, what? Look at what I grew up watching. Okay, Addams Family, The Munsters, The Jetsons, Star Wars, Star Trek. That was my reality. And now look what I'm doing. I'm just
But
saying.
a lot of those things in those science fiction movies have come to reality.
Yeah.
Even just the
Very
iPads, the
I
iPhones. I remember the
Yeah,
flip phone.
the
when,
flip phone. Oh,
when,
yeah.
Captain Kirk had it.
Yeah, and
Captain
he
Kirk
said,
had it, right.
Beam me up, Scotty.
60s.
And I had a phone exactly like that.
You did?
Oh, yes.
The flip phone?
Yeah, the flip phone. Yeah, I had it for
Oh,
a long
boy.
time. When
Yeah.
I went to trade it in for a new one, he thought it was an antique. It was.
Well, kind of. It is
Yeah,
an
it was,
antique
yeah,
in a
but,
way,
I mean,
right? Oh my goodness. Well, and here's the other thing, and I tell my daughter this all the time. She just turned 19, bless her heart. So she's been growing up in technology her whole life. Okay, so I have to kind of remind her that when I was her age, we didn't have cell phones. And she's like, what? You didn't text your boyfriends? No, we actually had to pick up the phone, call. If his parents answered, you had to wait, Johnny or, Billy or whatever, come get the phone, and you had the long coil, on the phone. Remember, you'd stretch it out.
I didn't, when I was a kid, I didn't do that. I didn't need a phone. I would just imagine where I was going.
Oh, that's true.
Leave my body, go see if my friends were at home, and then walk round to the house. If they weren't,
Kevin had his own phone
I have my own
system.
cell phone. If they weren't in, I didn't walk round.
Yeah.
But then...
that's so cool.
I mean, it's just...
That is really cool.
So we don't need the technologies. We have it. We already have it up here.
We have it up here.
Yeah.
We got to train ourselves, though.
Train ourselves.
And think that way.
Yeah, think that way. And
I love that.
Practice.
Yeah.
And the Interstellar, that just came out
That
several
movie?
years ago. The planet was dying, and so they had a secret space mission, and they launched it from Colorado. And for those of you who haven't watched it, it is a lengthy movie, and it does go in depth. It goes into quantum physics. It goes into a number of sciences. It goes into theories about, okay, what happens if you do enter a black hole? And there's in the trailer, you see something rattling off of this dusty bookcase and crash into the floor. That is a very important part of the movie, because towards the end you will find out about why those items all of a sudden shook off that shelf with nobody touching the shelf and falling to the floor. So I will not disclose the ending of that movie either. I want you to watch it. All of this has to do with the realities of the here, the now, and the future.
Very nice.
The past is and the present and the future is 0 point. We live in all three simultaneously. I talk about this in our book, Tap into Universal Consciousness. The intergalactics told me the same thing on my encounter. They said frequency is all that there is. Therefore, time-space does not exist. In the Men in Black, at the end of one of those movies, you see, looks like intergalactics were playing with different marbles. One of them was the representation of planet Earth. We are a speck in the grand scheme of things.
Like a grain of sand.
Literally.
Yeah.
If anybody had watched the remake of the Day the Earth Stood Still,
Oh, yes.
go back to the original, and in there was a 2 DVD set that was produced, and one of them has the actual short story of what the movie was really based on. It's worth listening to, along with the theremin. The theremin was an electronic instrument that used radio antennas, and by putting your hand near one of them, you could control one thing, and by pulling or putting your hand near the other antenna, it would change the resonance within the circuits, and you could actually produce different eerie sounds.
I'm sorry, I'm over here laughing because all I can picture is Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory with the theremin. He's like, meow. I don't know if you ever watched Big Bang Theory?
I've seen that one, no.
Okay, well, anyway, for those of you that watched Big Bang Theory, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Go ahead, Edgar. There's
a man that did a demonstration with one of the original theremins. It was slightly modified. His name's Peter Pringle, and in the DVD he plays this thing to give that sound. That was invented by a Russian scientist back in the late 20s. But Klaatu in the movie, the original, he gets off the ship. He was offering the Earthlings at the Washington, D.C., some technologies and stuff. He came in peace. And what did one of the soldiers that was there do? They shot him. And he looked like a human. And that's what the whole point of the movie was surrounded about, is our consciousness and our perceptions. Other people, beings that they look absolutely hideous, are the ones that have the most pure of heart. And what do we do with the pure of heart? We try to destroy it.
Yeah, we do, through mind control and all these other modalities that seem to be at play right now, which is unfortunate. You brought up our book, so I just wanted to hold up our book, which is Tap into Universal Energy, Consciousness, and Energy. It's Understanding. It's our very first book that all three of us co-authored together. It's available on bmkpublishingusa.com. It's also on Amazon, but it's a really good introduction to what we've been talking about on the show. It's almost like a supplement to the show, isn't it? It's almost like a study guide.
Yeah, things we've spoken about today are in the book. About,
yeah, we really have. And so I've got to brag about all of our books, because I have several of them here. We have Kevin's book, which I'm so grateful to be a publisher of, and it is all about his personal journey. It's spiritual consciousness. You can find it on his website and also the BMK website and Amazon. It's absolutely wonderful. It's our best-selling book in BMK Publishing. It's fantastic. And then there's my book, which is Breaking Truth, Blood of the Kingdom. And it is a fictional story. However, much of the story is actually based on my own life. The main character, May Morgan, was actually me. And she is an Rh negative blood type girl who has to save humanity from its own destruction. And it's the first of a sequel of 3 books that I'm going to be writing. But Breaking Truth is available also on bmkpublishingusa.com and on Amazon, as well as the other 2 books that we have. And there's a whole bunch of other books at BMK that we publish, all based on paranormal, universal consciousness, holistic, and alternative living, which is really what we're all about, I think. Wow. Well, those are 2 movies that we have graciously promoted here on the show today.
Going back to the second movie that Ed was talking about, the Day the Earth Stood Still, the first one. Again, that was in the 50s.
That was
I watched that as a child.
Yeah.
Brilliant movie. I've got both those movies.
Do you? You have the new version too?
I prefer the old one to the new one.
Yes,
they're both
so does he.
But the thing about it was the guy that played the alien being that came in the saucer with...
Who was that? Do you guys know?
Michael Rennie.
Oh, okay.
And I only know that because he looked just like my dad.
Really?
Exactly the spitting image. He could have been a twin.
Wow.
I know, it's quite
okay,
spooky,
that's kind of
really.
cool.
And just fascinating. So every time I watch that movie, it reminds me of my dad, you know.
That's so sweet.
But I never saw my dad stood up because he was always in a wheelchair from when I was born. But he's 6 foot tall, like Michael Rennie,
Really?
and just same features, everything exactly the same.
Handsome guy then.
He was, yeah, he was.
Yeah. So you prefer the older version of that movie?
Yeah, they're
than
both
the
very
new
good,
one?
but out of the 2, I prefer the
See, I
first
haven't
one.
watched the original. I've only seen the new version, so I don't have anything to compare it to. I love the new version.
It's very good.
I thought it was fantastic, but now I'm going to have to watch the old version.
The old version was actually a lot better, and this is the thing that irritates me about Hollywood. They'll take a perfectly good film, and then they'll try to do a remake of it for modern times, and they just mess it all up completely.
But the old movies have the drama, don't they?
Yeah,
and
they
the
have more
music
drama
that goes with it.
And
That's
it's that theremin. I mean, as a musician, I always thought it was interesting how they use that in like all of the sci-fi movies.
Back in the 50s.
That, no.
and it would literally freak people out.
Yeah, I know.
In the movie theaters because it sounded like spirits were coming out of the walls.
Yeah, it's like my house.
But Peter Pringle in the demonstration in that 2 DVD set, he does an excellent job of giving the history of the theremin and a demonstration of the theremin.
That's so cool. That's so cool. And it's such an integral part of the sci-fi movie genre. So that's kind of neat. Well, now I'm going to have to watch that original. But the newer version of that I thought was quite good. Although it kind of says exactly what I fear, which is the human race is going to automatically take a violent attack mindset when it comes to extraterrestrials, which is what they did in the movie, which I think is really sad because we act first and ask questions later, and I mean that's human nature, but it's a flaw in the human nature is to act first and ask questions later. Well, I just hope if there is some type of invasion this year that we don't just immediately start firing on them, because we know that they've been visiting us a lot, and if they really wanted to attack us, I think that could have already happened.
That would already happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not
Yeah.
here. My ETs tell me that they're here to assist in our evolution.
Right.
And
we should just listen.
And they probably are doing anyway, behind the scenes, as it were.
Yeah.
I know they're connecting all the experiences together
They
now.
are.
They've all been brought
We
together.
really have been,
and
yeah.
we've now got a voice. We're going to speak out. We're,
Right.
we're all speaking out.
Right.
We've all been connected, and we're all doing our little bit.
We're being
Well,
censored.
yeah, we're being censored a lot.
We're
but
being.
there's still a lot of information getting out
Yeah.
there. Even the fact that you can actually talk about an experiencer. People will ask me now.
Yeah.
It's becoming part.
That's your role now.
It's becoming part of the vocabulary.
Right.
The way I
The
hear.
word experiencer.
As experiences, and people have near-death experiences like Edgar as well.
Yep.
We're all part of it because that's a changed reality.
Yep.
Once you get that near-death experience, you
Yep.
get the extra information from the consciousness universe.
And if you're like me, I've had a lot of walk-in possessions and things like that. So, I mean, the experiencer could mean a whole lot of different things.
A lot of different things, yeah.
It could mean telepathic. It could mean walk-ins. It could mean abductions. It could mean, there's a whole host of things it can mean. And what's funny is, have you ever typed in the word experiencer, like on social media,
No, I
and it
haven't,
tries
no.
to autocorrect it?
No.
Oh, it's so annoying. Yeah, try it. It thinks it's it thinks it's a misspelled word. I'm waiting for the day that the word experiencer is no longer a typo that the autocorrect program thinks it
I'll have
is.
to look at that because I use the word experiencer quite a lot, and I type it in.
So maybe your phone has
Perhaps my
learned
phone
it.
has learned it because
Right?
Yes.
Do you see my point?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to teach your phone.
Yes.
There's a little
because,
check mark.
like you say,
Yeah.
I use it quite often in explaining things to people and talking about it. So, and very often I'll be using the same words in a sentence. So I just go, tick, 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 tick,
And it starts to
and
autofill.
Yeah. So.
Which is interesting, which
yeah.
leads us to a nice conclusion of today's show, which is it's a learned behavior. Your phone is learning that experiencer is a reality.
Intelligence. Are we artificial
Right.
intelligences?
Yeah.
Are we?
Isn't that interesting?
It is.
Think
yes.
about that.
Could we just be an empty computer and we're just programmed by life?
Which goes to last week's show
Yeah.
about programming our children.
Yeah.
We come into this world as innocent little babies, and all of our reality, all of our perceived reality is formed by the environment that we're put in. Your environment was different than mine, which was different than yours.
Yes.
And it is interesting because what you think is normal and common sense is not what I think is normal and common sense as with you, Edgar.
Yep.
And it is interesting. And I think a lot of wars and a lot of arguments and a lot of misunderstandings maybe
Could be
prevented. Right, because maybe something that I think is right or wrong or whatever is based on my reality or based on my own experiences, my own environments. And that's an interesting point of view because, as ETs, I think the ETs have kind of all that figured out. I think they have taken the ego part out of their existence, but unfortunately we as humans, we still kind of have that ego as part of our mindset.
Human
and is it
emotion.
programmed? See, that's what I think. I think the ego part of our mindset is programmed.
Human
Oh, no.
emotions programmed from our environment that we
Yeah.
grew up in. If we grow up in a neutral environment where there is none of this, then we're not going to have an opinion of any of this.
Well, if you grew up, and I was talking to a paranormal investigator the other day, and it was actually, I'm going to give them a shout out, Pac-Man Paranormal. Hey, guys. I was talking to them the other day, and they were talking about different children and how they've been raised in environments where paranormal is their everyday, and it's normal. So it doesn't scare them, which I find that very interesting.
Right.
And it's a little bit like if you're a child that grew up in a household that, with a ufologist and somebody that believes in UFOs, then you probably are going to have a different mindset, correct?
Because
Yep.
it's part of your reality.
Exactly. It's part of everybody's reality. And I've tried to do that with my own daughter and not have her as a closed-minded individual, but more of an open-minded individual. And that just goes back to all of our childhoods and how we all grew up and how our parents raised us and what kind of environment they raised us in. And that always leads me to my ending quote, which is the same every single week, and that is, change what you know, change where you go. And I think now more than ever that is so important. Change what you know, change where you go. Do your own research, look up our books, read, get that knowledge for yourself so you can make a difference. I'm Melisa Kennedy. Until next week, keep looking up.